Alright, you're just right on time for KUTV Primetime News. We call it the State of the Nation edition, and tonight our focus will be shifting to the young people. So we want to get your perspective. Are you satisfied with the current state of the affairs as far as different aspects of economic governance, politics, in between, everything that is concerned? So what's your take on that? So we'd like you to be part and parcel of this discussion. You can talk to us on all of our social media platforms. Remember, we are live on YouTube at KUTV News Live. You can tweet me at Auma Events. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News. Well, but that and many more will be coming on later on. But first thing first, our top stories tonight.
Tonight, no need for dialogue. Odinga faults Kome for seeking audience with Ruto over dispute between executive and judiciary. Bring it on. Ruto says he is ready for dialogue with the Judicial Service Commission to end the standoff between executive and the judiciary. Also tonight, cash transfer of death. A man kills his elder sister over 2,000 cash transfer dispute in Laikipia. Plus, we have sufficient evidence to charge Shakahola massacre suspects. DPP says they are ready to charge Mackenzie and co-accused.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Okay, my co-anchor tonight is Sheila Kinyaga. So tonight we begin with matters politics, where President William Ruto says that he is ready for talks with the Judicial Service Commission to look for a lasting solution to fight corruption in the three arms of government. Ruto's sentiment comes a day after the Chief Justice Martha Koome said that the judiciary had written to President William Ruto seeking a sit-down following his complaints against the judiciary. Dorothy Musyoka opens our bulletin tonight with that report.
Just a day after Lady Chief Justice Martha Koome stated that President William Ruto should have a sit-down with her to discuss on the differences between the executive and the judiciary, President Ruto has maintained his stand on dealing with corrupt judicial officials in courts, claiming that it have crippled government projects. However, Ruto has welcomed the negotiations, stating that the talks will foster a solution in fighting corruption in courts as well as in the country.
And therefore, I welcome the conversation between the executive, and I am going to lead from the front in that conversation so that we can deal with a monster that is destroying our country.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has hit back on CJ Koome sentiments on political leaders intimidating judges in public, noting that every corrupt judicial official must be held accountable for their mistakes whenever they are found guilty.
We also do the right thing, and everybody must be held accountable. The President and the Executive are accountable to Parliament and to the people of Kenya. Parliament is accountable to wananchi. Judiciary must also be accountable to the people of Kenya. Na lazima wataulizwa maswali, because hao si Mungu.
National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, who accompanied the head of state, urged Chief Justice Martha Koome not to defend judicial officials, regardless of their positions in government, to ensure transparency and accountability of the judiciary is upheld.
We equally want to hear the Chief Justice as the head of the judiciary atuambie pia wale wafisadi, wale cartels, wale mawakili wakora, mambo yao pia ni matatu. Aidha wahame kotini ama awapeleke jela, ama afanye ile atafanya, bora ufisadi itoke mahakama.
Mixed reactions have risen concerning the main aim of the talks between the judiciary and the executive, with leaders from opposition being seen to side with Chief Justice Koome on the government not adhering to court directives. Dorothy Musyoka, KUTV.
While at the same time, the opposition brigade led by Azimio la Umoja, that is Raila Odinga, has strongly disagreed with the call for dialogue between the executive and the judiciary. Sylvia Anyango reports on a day that Odinga said that the conversation will interfere with the independence of the judiciary and will be the genesis of compromising the rule of law.
As ODM leaders proceed with their initiative of increasing their party membership in Vihiga County, a section of the leaders have come out strongly, challenging the proposed call for dialogue between the judiciary and the executive. ODM leader Raila Odinga, together with ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, claimed that the move will compromise the independence of the judiciary.
Hakuna haja ya mahakama kufanya mazungumzo na Ruto. Mahakama imesema kwamba kama wewe ukubaliana na uamuzi wa mahakama, wewe fanya kata rufaa. Tayari there is an active case in court. Court has made a ruling and the executive has appealed, and the matter is before the court. Is supposed to be decided on the 25th of this month.
You cannot have dialogue with a hyena that is greedy and hungry for your children. Chief Justice Martha Koome nimemtumia ujumbe leo asubuhi. Nikamwambia wakati ambao tunaishi sasa, it requires bold action and people to stand up straight against dictatorship. Wewe badala ya kuitisha mazungumzo, hiyo mazungumzo mnaenda kusema nini? Mkubaliane na Ruto, zile kesi atawaachilia zipite, zingine muachilie zipite, wananchi waendelee kuumia.
The opposition has also stood firm on their opinion that Ruto's government ought to accept court rulings, alleging that the same court ruled against Azimio coalition in favor of Kenya Kwanza government on the petition presented to the Supreme Court challenging the 2022 general election results.
Sisi tulidhulumiwa. Bwana Chebukati hakufanya haki. Alitangaza matokeo ya bandia. Na tukaenda mbele hiyo mahakama. Mahakama ikatupa kesi yetu nje. Na tukamwekea simu. Kama tungekuwa Ruto tungesema hatuheshimu uamuzi wa mahakama, Wakenya wajitokeze na wafanye maandamano.
Speaking in Usonga Ward in Siaya County after touring development projects, Siaya Governor James Orengo warned of serious repercussions should the ongoing onslaught on the judiciary by the executive not be brought to a halt.
The President of the Republic of Kenya is the first person who should give an example to all of us why we should obey the law. Na akisema ya kwamba kila mtu ana uhuru ya kusema ya kwamba hata tii sheria, hata tii mahakama, sasa Kenya itakuwa kwa hali ambapo hatuna utulivu hata kidogo.
A day after the opposition leader declared that the Kenya Kwanza government has failed to deliver its mandate, the ODM party is now determined to further increase their popularity in the country in order to secure 2027 election votes. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
Right, I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. Tension was high in Male village in Tigidi in Laikipia County after a 49-year-old woman was brutally murdered by her younger brother. It is believed that the deceased Rebecca Mudhoni was hit with a hammer on the head following a quarrel over 2,000 Kenyan shillings government cash transfer program meant for the upkeep of their ailing mother. Tigidi location chief Wilson Dhuo confirmed the incident, saying that the suspect Joseph Gitahi later surrendered to Mantanya police station awaiting court charges. This story was produced by Hussein Mohammed.
At Kutv location in Laikipia County, residents were left in shock following the brutal murder of a 49-year-old woman by her younger brother. The deceased, Rebecca Muthoni, was hit with a hammer on the head following a quarrel over 2,000 shillings meant for the upkeep of their ailing mother. The 2,000 shillings was a monthly pay for the elderly under the Inua Jamii program. Kutv location chief Wilson Thuo confirmed the incident, saying that the suspect, 45 years old Joseph Getahi, later surrendered to the Matanya police station where he was locked up awaiting court appearance to face murder charges.
Akazidika, alinyambia huwa atamuoa, atamuviga akuve. Nikamwambia washana na hii. Akasema akamushika hii kichwa ya kichwa, akamuviga, akafunika uso yake chini ya hii nyumba.
The deceased mother, Mary Waheto, says she watched desperately as his own son threatened to kill his sister and later executed the threat when he rushed for a hammer and hit her on the head.
Hiyo inaonekana kama walikosana juu ya hii pesa ya uzeni. Hapo ndipo shida ilianzia. Huyo bibi yake ndiye alikuwa akiateka wa mama, alikuwa amechukua ATM kitambulisho, ndio ama namtolea pesa juu mama hana uwezo wa kwenda huko.
Kwa hiyo kama serikali ingependa iweke huyo huko, ndio nimesema akija akiwa maiti tutasi Mungu akituweka huko na wale watakuweko. Lakini hakuna mtu zile hatumutetei, hatumutaki hapa. Lakini maiti yake ikija tutafanya.
Local residents described the assailant as a troublemaker in the village who is addicted to alcohol and narcotics, at the same time condemning the incident, which they attributed to rampant drug and substance abuse in the area, and called on the government to intervene.
Na hapo Ketoga alikuwa anataka ni arifu polisi, sababu huyu kijana wakati wa kufanya hiyo kitendo alitoka akielekea polisi Matanya. Sikuwa na simu ya askari, nikapigia assistant chief, akapigia polisi, na huyo jamaa alikuwa amejifikisha huko, akanaswa na kuwekwa ndani. So yeye ndiye alijipeleka.
The suspect was on Monday arraigned before an Anyuki court but did not plead to murder charges after DCI officers asked for more time to enable for a post-mortem and mental assessment.
Right, let me take you back here in Nairobi, where Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has today opened the Pearson VUE test in Westlands, Nairobi. The Virtual University Enterprise Test Center is set to enable qualified nurses in diaspora from public and private institutions secure international jobs under reduced travel burdens. Mudavadi further stated that about 200,000 nurses are waiting interviews abroad, and as he congratulated the Kenya Kwanza agenda on keeping the economy.
Is a regional hub for administering the globally coveted National Council licensure examination. Registered nurse examinations that are mandatory for nurses seeking to practice in the United States, Canada, and Australia. This will enable nurses qualifying from our public and private training institutions to meet the requirements of securing international jobs where the demand for nursing skills is ever rising.
Right, you're taking our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. Remember, when you come back, the discussion is all about the youth perspective. And I have my guest here in studio with me, that is Nick Mwadime Mwangi, the National Executive Director, KUSA. And of course, Edwin Joroge Washira, Youth Leader, Mount Kenya Region. So that discussion will be up and running in just a bit. But meanwhile, see you.
Look, Mom, listen to me. Dad would never leave us, so just relax. I have an idea. Why don't you just rest for a while now?
Prof, I won't divorce you. So what do you want from me?
I wonder where he is and what he's doing at this moment.
That must be a lie. I assure you, Dylan, she's marrying Zio as part of a business deal.
You have given him a really bad migraine.
Is that you, Chantal? Hey, Nambi, don't tell me you're with him again.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
You need to look for high quality friends.
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, you know Portmore. That's my village.
Kanga tu chini hapo ukinyedhia ukikatia mademo akipita.
Sinaweza saa hii nimekuja kukopesa choo.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalonukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
So my name is Petri. I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. And I'm the main coordinator of the Cafe project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Eva Hutoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu. Pepo pa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Right, welcome back, and now the discussion begins right now. But remember, this particular discussion is about you, the young people. So I invite you to be part and parcel of this particular discussion. You can talk to us. What do you think about the state of the nation and what should be done? Maybe to make sure like we are on the right path. So there is a common phrase that says the youth nowadays are the lost generation. So if they are lost, so who is to be blamed for this? Is it about, or maybe is the youth losing touch with the leadership, or is just the leadership very insensitive on the issues of the youth, or rather issues affecting the youth? So that is the discussion we are having there. About the state of the nation, and you're invited to be part and parcel of this particular conversation. Remember, you can talk to us on all of our social media platforms. You can tag me at Auma Evans. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News, and of course I'm joined by my able young men here to have this great discussion. And of course we have Nick Mwadime Mwangi, that is the National Executive Director, KUSA. Then Edwin Joroge Washira, Youth Leader, Mount Kenya Region. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time. And I will start with you, Mwangi. How would you describe the state of the nation today?
Good evening, Evans.
All right.
First of all, let me say good evening to my people in KUSA. Categorically, people from Nyandaru as well, also my friend there as well. The state of the nation is very peculiar because we have, let me say, in the government itself, a lot of internal wars. We've recently seen the wars between Kenya Kwanza in terms of succession politics. And we see the dollar rising by the day, very sad. The cost of the living is still high. Just, I think 2 days back, Kenya Electricity Company also announced high cost of power. The only unfortunate thing we have seen this week is the cost of fuel going down with 5 shillings. Yes, so the young people are still struggling with job opportunities. Nobody's talking about, I represent students from MKUSA. Nobody's talking about the university funding model. Parents are taking their children to high school, right? Nobody's talking about junior secondary schools, that there's still a backlog. Nobody's talking about the healthcare systems. So we can sit down here and talk about politics from Monday to Friday or to Saturday or Sunday. But the real issues of our country, Kenya, we really need to discuss them as a nation. So yeah.
And of course, the same question I'll extend to you, Njoroge. How would you describe the state of the nation?
Okay, thank you very much, Evans. Okay, our nation right now is at crisis. We cannot say that everything is running on smoothly or well. As you can see, the government, the Kenya Kwanza government, is now at war with the judiciary. And also the Kenya citizens right now are complaining of how hard it is to sustain themselves in this nation. We've also heard that the Azimio coalition are also saying that they'll come back and get to the roads for maandamano and the streets, whatever. So the nation is not okay. So we have to sit down and think of the way forward.
All right.
Yeah.
So what worries you the most?
What worries me the most is where the nation is headed. Because once you see that the government has 3 arms, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, and once the 3 arms are not in understanding, then there's a very big problem, because without understanding, there's no forward progress. So as a nation, I think the president has to calm down. He has to call the judiciary. They have to speak in one term. Okay, and also the parliament. Once the parliament resumes their sittings, they should sit down and consider mwananchi wa kawaida.
All right.
Yeah.
And we'll come about the prospect of the talks. What should the judiciary and the executive actually talk about? Is there something to actually talk about? Like, what does the constitution say about the speculated mandate from, it's clearly stated in each function and jurisdiction of each arm of the government. So are the talks necessary? But that is something that we'll talk about that. But before that, let me ask you, how will you view the direction that the country is taking right now? Do you think we are heading the right direction or the wrong direction? And what should be done?
The unfortunate bit is, Evans, we are in see, if you're driving a car and you're going down the hill, if you're a keen driver, there's that free mode that usually geared towards it. The president has put us into that situation, whereby the ideal situation of this country, everything is unbalanced, because we expect better healthcare systems, we expect good education systems, we expect job opportunities, but day by day we see parents going home unsatisfied because of the high taxation, yet the president is keenly disobeying court orders left, right, and center, threatening the judiciary. And I want to agree here with my good friend that there's no conversation whatsoever the president can have with judiciary, because it will look very biased. Because when Azimio coalition went to the Supreme Court, we agreed with the ruling. And at that point of time, Justice Martha Koome did not call us for a dialogue. Right now, the president, he himself calls out Justice Martha Koome with the entire body of judiciary as corrupt. Now she wants to have a dialogue. What kind of conversation are they going to have on the table? Those are some of the questions we're asking ourselves as the youth.
All right. And Jeroge, when you take a look at all these existing problems that you keep on mentioning, and this now brings the the very key aspect and the reason why you are having this conversation and discussion at this particular time. I'm talking about the youth, the young people. It is said that at least the young people constitute about 75% of the Kenyan population. That is a lion's share, if you ask me. But the existing problem keep on recycle itself, election in, election out. Is it about time now we point the finger to the right direction? Like, when you have the power to actually change the future itself, and it seems like nothing is being done about this power. You have the power, but you're not using the power. So what could be the problem, even as we point fingers to the the leadership?
Okay, as for the youth, what I would say is that we as the young men are always taken for granted. Sorry. As you can see, we are always needed and we are promised a lot during election times. But after elections, we are forgotten. And as you can see now, I'll give you an example with the people of Mount Kenya. The young men and women who came out and voted for this government, today the government is against it. So they are now being called that they are a gang. As you can see, they are now being named names. And so as for the Kenya Kwanza government, what I would ask them is they should take consideration of the young men, because we are the future tomorrow. The existing problem that has always been there is that the leaders, these old leaders, the mature leaders who are there today, who are there tomorrow, they always hit the young men. They never support the young guys who are coming up. Like my friend here, he is in charge of very, very many young men. But as for the leaders who are already in those positions, they don't want to see such a leader rise, because they know these young men will bring change.
Okay, hold on there. That's a very interesting aspect. You see, like, I want us to put it into this context of the 75%, meaning that you have the power. You don't need that leader to actually dictate to you how you should actually, further your agenda as a young person, some sort of block. If you have this power, and from the point that you sit as a leader, what's so difficult for young people to actually rise and form this one formidable force to further their agenda and actually change the narrative and even the mantra of how the politics is being run, and even the leadership, that the change that they so much desire? Why is it so hard for that to happen?
Well, I agree totally with your statistics, Evans. And the harsh reality that we are facing as young people is we want quick fix kind of situation, whereby, as my good friend is saying here, when young people rise, they are tagged names like, especially from our region, Mount Kenya, they are tagged names like these are Mungiki. So it becomes very difficult for us even to speak our minds or our voices. And the unfortunate situation is by if you have let me say a pathological liar, like our sitting president, who is very quick and very cunning in deceiving and manipulating the young people.
Just for the record straight. Let's keep it within the decorum.
It is very true.
We have to preserve the respect for the president. And even there is a point that you mentioned, and I want clarity on that. When you say the young people when they rise and being termed as Mungiki, well, I remember in that particular meeting, actually, the convener of the meeting was Maina Njenga, the former Mungiki leader. So is Maina Njenga a young person, or what is happening in that context?
Before we get to Maina Njenga, because I was saying a point about our president, then you cut me short, Evans. The young people have been deceived into the formerly known hustler movement.
All right.
Right? Because the president understood that the young people are struggling. But we saw clearly in his appointment, there was no hustler. Where was Mama Mboga? Where was Vijana wa Boda Boda? And despite as if we can stand here and say we want to defend his actions, they're not defendable. Evans, because we as young people, our minds are set and very clear. We have the numbers, but they have the manipulation. And because the sad situation is the easiest cause to steer revolution is when you charge an angry youth. The youths are getting angrier and angrier by the day. Yes.
All right. Let me come to you, Joroge.
Yes.
We have some underlying factors. We have the high cost of living that you mentioned. We have the corruption. We have the, some call it total disregard to the rule of law.
Yes.
All these are some of the things that are actually, when you look at the way the nation should move forward, but when you picture in all these factors, then it's some sort of, derailing the process. Well, these are some of the problems that we face. They are there. There has been since for a very long time, as much as we can remember. However, we are confronted with things that we can change, but we are not changing. So the problem, once again, is it you, the young people? Are you the problem?
No. Okay, we as the young people got numbers, but we have no power. The people with the power have no numbers. Okay, those who dictate how the nation runs are the minority of this nation. What goes on in this nation? As for now, the cost of living, there's an excuse that it has not started today. It is started from the previous regime.
Okay.
And we're in a very bad government, a government that is filled with ignorance.
Okay. And just hold on for a minute. You'll proceed. When you talk about the young people, they don't have the power, and yet you talk about the very, very same power which it is your vote, your number. What do you mean when you say young people don't have power?
The power to act, the power to change. The power that we as the young men right now have is the power to put in the person you want. But once you elected that leader, once that member of parliament goes to parliament, once that senator goes to the Senate, you have no power over him again. As from that time, he's the one who has power over you.
Okay.
He will, yes.
Well, probably in addition to what my brother is saying, in 2022, we had 19 million registered voters.
All right.
Up to 65%, that is including women, men, and the youth, turned out to vote. Now, the big question we're supposed to be asking ourselves here tonight, Evans, have we given up on democracy? Because if our issues day in, day out, and we are supposed to vote for change, vote for leaders who are going to bring roads, who are going to cater on issues of CDF. In our region, the population is big, and the cap of CDF is totally unshareable, because in a constituency where I come from, Roysambu, for example, the CDF is 200 million, rather, sorry. And we have a population, my registered voters are 145,000, approximately.
Okay.
Give it a figure that each family has roughly 2 kids, right? That's around, let me say, 300, right? Do the math. How much goes for per child in terms of education? Because the process of voting starts at the lowest level of education.
All right.
We talk about civil education. If I cannot understand why it is important to vote, then I will not wake up early in the morning to go and vote.
All right.
If I've given up on the process of voting, then it is very difficult for me to understand that it is by voting the right leaders, we're going to bring change in our society.
Okay.
That is why we are having these challenges in our countries today.
All right. You talk about change. So who will bring change? And here's a very interesting comparison between the generation of then the X generation versus now they call it the Z generation. When you remember during the times of, the James Orengo, during their time, the youthful James Orengo, they used to actually, even they are termed as the father of the second liberation. They are very active in Kenyan politics just to shape the narrative. They really fought for the change that probably some of us are enjoying today, and maybe the future that they wanted for their children and their children of their children. And today's leaders, or rather the leaders of tomorrow, I'm talking about you, the youths, you have been termed as the lost generation. What is it about the youth of today that you're not doing right to actually, instead of lamenting about the problem, why don't you focus on solution?
The problem with today's young men and women, I think it's greed and fear. You know, you cannot compare a today's youth with the youth that was there during the Raila Amolo Odinga's time when he was a youth. Those were radicals. But at this time, I don't know whether it's because of too much education or it's too much exposure. I don't know what is going on with this generation. So for the young men and women to be heard, there needs to be unity. They need to speak in one voice.
Okay.
So that they can bring change.
Okay.
But
I hear about the need.
Yes.
What is the solution?
Well,
even as we wind up this discussion because of time.
Let us get it very clear. When the likes of James Orengo and Raila Amolo Odinga and the likes of Kenneth Matiba were fighting for the second liberation of this country, there was a cause they were fighting for. Right for freedom of speech, right for association, right of assembly. Probably we, the young people, are lacking or are missing the cause.
All right.
But I would like it to challenge our young people, because our fathers and our grandfathers have done their bit. Today we are facing the issues of unemployment, and that's why you see where I come from, my party, Jubilee Party. We are raising these issues on the table. We are talking about the need of employment, that the youth have to speak up. I have gone to school, did an engineering course, but there are no job opportunities in this country. Who's supposed to create these opportunities? The opportunities and the policies are first made in Parliament. They're executed by the executive, right? Through the Ministry of Industry, right? Or Labor, right? Or public service.
All right.
So if we understand these policies and laws very clearly as young people, we are able to stipulate and know our rights and what we are fighting for. So the moment we understand our cause, it becomes very easier to fight for what we want. And that is why we as a party clearly stipulate some of these issues. Yes.
Okay. Because we are running out of time, I'll give you 1 minute to actually for your closing remark. Each of you 1 minute, kindly, and I will begin with the Njoroge.
Okay, thank you very much. As a youth leader in the Central Region, I would like to urge the leaders from the Central Region to unite. When I speak of our leaders, this is the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and Maina Jenga, the chairman. Because we as the young men, because as a region, as the Mount Kenya region, we are the most productive part in this nation. Because we hold agriculture, we hold the numbers that vote. So it's good we unite and speak in one language so that we can get development. Since once we go on these fights, once these fights go on, there'll be no development, there'll be misunderstanding, and it's shaming our community. I would also ask the young men to maintain decorum, peace, and unity. They should also adhere to the government policies. They should not engage themselves in.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Because of time, pretty quick. Like we don't have time. 1 minute, kindly.
Thank you so much, Evans. First of all, I would like to thank you all the members of MKUSA who tuned in tonight to take part into the discussion, because these are matters that are very sensitive to them. I'd like to give patronage to my national chairman, my national treasurer, and the people of Roysambu. And one thing I totally agree here with my good friend, the youth have to come together. We must have this conversation. Come 2027, because it's going to come, whether we like it or not. We have to be on the table. Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for making time. Asante sana. That is Nick Mwadime Mwangi, National Executive Director, MKUSA. And of course, Edwin Joroge, Washira. Okay, Washira, Youth Leader, Mount Kenya Region. Asante sana for making time. We wish we had, a lot of time to talk about these issues, but you'll have to bear with us for today. But all the same, thank you so much. Well, the Ministry of Education officials in Embu County have called upon principals in secondary schools to admit all students placed by the government in their institution, even with fee balances. Speaking during an inspection tour at Kangaru School, Mr. Kipruto Kosgei noted that the ministry officials in the county are out in different institutions to ensure that the admission follows the ministry guideline.
Speaking during an inspection tour of Form 1 admission at Kangaru School, Mr. Kosgei Kipruto, an official from the Ministry of Education, has urged secondary school principals to admit all Form 1 students, including those with fee balances. During the tour, Kosgei noted that the school did comply with the regulations.
In this admission process, we are checking compliance to the government regulations, the ministry's guidelines on admission, and we are emphasizing the importance of admitting even the learners with needs, those who may have challenges with fees. We are encouraging our principals to admit them. So we are very optimistic that by the end of tomorrow and even Wednesday, most of the students will be in our schools.
Additionally, he urged parents to ensure that their students report to school, as the ministry will continue taking stocks of the students during the course of the week to ensure 100% transition is achieved.
So we expect all the parents to take them. For the parents who will not have done so, we expect that in the course of towards the end of this week, we will be able to do stock taking of the learners who will not have gone to school, and using the multi-sectoral team with the office of the county commissioner, we should be able to trace and bring those students to their respective schools.
At Sacred Heart Kieni Girls High School, Mary Njiru, who is a parent, narrates how she struggled to find a scholarship but was not successful. According to her, the process of admission was tiresome, but she remains grateful that it was a success.
Tumeng'ang'ana kutafuta sponsorship, but hatukuweza kumake. Serikali haikuturuhusu to get the nafasi ama tuseme banks sasa kutupea nafasi ya kupata hiyo nini. Tumeweza kung'ang'ana kutafuta kwa wafadhili, marafiki, but all the same God is good, ametusaidia na tumeweza kupata ya kuingia at least nayo hiyo nyingine tung'ang'ane ya next term.
Parents appreciated the admission process on one hand, as they lamented the high cost of living that forced them to go an extra mile in order to acquire requirements for new admissions.
All right, now the Director of Public Prosecution, that is DPP, has asserted that after thorough investigation and looking into evidence provided, 95 suspects of Shakahola massacre are set to be charged. Controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie and co-accused have so far spent over 117 days, which has been termed as the longest detention in Kenyan history. Earlier, the state had given the Office of Director of Public Prosecution 14 days to prosecute Mackenzie, or he would walk free. The suspect charges include offenses under the Penal Code, a cap of 63, murder, manslaughter, and casualties, assault, causing bodily harm. Other charges include engaging in organized criminal activities, radicalization, subjecting children to torture, cruelty to children, infringing children's rights, among others. DPP has directed that the suspect be arraigned before the High Court and subordinate.
Na ule Mackenzie ule hatoki jela tena. Ule hatoki jela, atazeekea pale jela. Na tunaomba Mungu amweke miaka mingi ndio aone Kenya ambayo itakuwa Kenya salama, ambayo itakuwa na hii maneno yake ya upumbavu. Sijui kama tunaelewana. Lakini jela hatoki. hataona mwangaza wa hii dunia tena, atakaa pale njera mpaka azekee hapo, alafu apotee aende kwa shetani yake. Kama atatubu, hiyo ni mambo ya Mungu. Hata mahakama ikimwachilia, tutamrudisha pale, sababu mahakama zetu za ingine tunaambia watu huyu ni mkora, ameua watu, wanasema iko haki, sijui katiba gani inatumika, wanaachilia. Hata wakimwachilia, ule bwana atazeekea pale jela.
Right, now let's talk money matters. The Kenya shilling's exchange rate against the dollar has reached a record high of 160 shillings, attributed to increased importer demand and the central bank efforts to reflect the accurate trending value of the shillings. This and much more in the business wrap with Yvonne Kemuma.
Kenya's official exchange rate for the shilling has reached a record high of 160.23 shillings against the dollar. The depreciation is attributed to heightened pressure from increased demand by importers. Additionally, the central bank's effort to accurately reflect the true trading value of the local currency. Increased demand from the energy and manufacturing sectors, along with the Central Bank of Kenya's adaptation of actual traded rates, has pressured the shilling. Currency has depreciated by 2.4% in the first 2 weeks of 2024, rising from 156.40 shillings to 160.23 shillings against the dollar. Elsewhere, German software company SAP has reached an agreement with US regulators, agreeing to pay approximately 34.9 billion shillings in fine to resolve investigations into bribery schemes in Kenya and 6 other countries. The settlement comes after US authorities conducted probe into SAP Africa's involvement in bribing government officials globally, including the Kenya Revenue Authority (KRA), in exchange for lucrative tenders. Elsewhere, Rubis Energy has received a tender worth 7.7 billion to supply diesel to 30 of Kenya Power's off-grid stations. The tender comes after the resolution of a dispute in which Dalbit Petroleum Limited challenged the tender granted to Rubis before the Public Procurement and Administrative Review Board. The PPARP, in its order issued on January 2nd, rejected Dalbit Petroleum's case, clearing the path for Rubis to proceed with the 7.7 billion tender that will run for the next 2 years. Yvonne Kemuma, KUTV.
Now, a growing number of trade and commercial disputes continue to plague the 8-member East African Community, a harmonious regional bloc that operates a custom union. Theo Masharia tells us more.
Prime and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has affirmed there is no cause for alarm after Kenya found itself in the midst of a frosty relationship with its immediate neighbors. Tanzania, in a tit-for-tat move, had suspended all Kenya Airways passenger flights between Nairobi and Dar es Salaam effective January 22nd this year. This was in response to Kenya's rejection of Tanzania's request to allow its airline, Air Tanzania Company, to operate cargo flights between Nairobi and third countries. Tanzania cited this refusal by Kenya as a violation of Section 4 of the Memorandum of Understanding on Air Services signed between the two countries in 2016 that provides for a reciprocal treatment of airlines from both countries. Prime and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi this evening stated that the issue between the two countries had successfully been resolved, citing efforts by both the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Transport. This situation had raised concerns about the future of air travel between the two countries, which stood to lose from this disruption, especially the tourism and business sectors, had the issue not been resolved. And in a rare occurrence, Uganda is suing Kenya at the Arusha Regional Court for denying government-owned oil marketer Uganda National Oil Company a license to operate and handle fuel imports at Kenya's Mombasa port, headed for Kampala. This has been seen as a violation of the EAC Treaty by Kenya, which requires partners to share existing ports, maritime facilities, and transit routes. Uganda is Kenya's biggest trading partner and buys 90% of its oil from Kenya. East African Community and Regional Development Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza stated that President Ruto and Museveni have scheduled a meeting to diplomatically mend fences over Kenya's decision to block Uganda's use of its pipeline to transport fuel. The Cabinet Secretary, however, did not disclose the date and venue of the heads of states meeting. EAC Secretary General Peter Mathuki issued a statement urging EAC states to focus on peaceful resolution of any disputes while strictly adhering to the spirit of peaceful coexistence and good neighborliness. Theo Masharia for KUTV.
Alright, it's now time for sporty action, and we begin with the latest in the African Cup of Nations now. The match between Tunisia and, of course, Namibia is currently underway. And, of course, Namibia leads by 1-0 against Tunisia. And the match that has just ended, that is between Burkina Faso and Mauritania. Burkina Faso won courtesy of Bertrand Traore's goal. And that is the latest as far as this African Cup of Nations is concerned. While the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations champions, that is Algeria, failed to pick all 3 points last night in their opening Group D match at the Stade Baouk. Algeria got an early goal from Baghdad Bonaja, who scored in the 18th minute before Angolan forward Agostino Mabululu converted from the spot to make it 1-1 at full time. Mali is set to take on South Africa at 11 p.m. East African time in Group E match. Roma has parted ways with Jose Mourinho as its head coach after a few days after they were beaten 3-1 against AC Milan in their Serie A match. Roma sacked the Portuguese earlier today as the club is reported to be in talks with its former coach Daniela De Rossi. Mourinho helped Roma to win the Europa Conference League title in 2022, making him to become the only coach who have won all the European club tournaments. Now, the 8 times Ballon d'Or winner, that is Lionel Messi, was awarded as the Best Player of the Year 2023 in the FIFA Best Awards, which was held last night in London. Spanish player Aitana Bonmati won the Best Female Player category for her instrumental role in helping her national team to win the last year's Women's World Cup. Manchester City coach Pep Guardiola got the Best Male Coach award as England women's coach got the Best Female award. Right, AFCON continued to serve some sort of surprise results. Who would have thought that Tunisia will actually succumb to Namibia's a lowly ranked team? And that is not all. A good team like Algeria yesterday, wow, what a tournament. To talk less of Ghana, one of the favorites, the tournament favorite. So one thing that we can take from this, there are no underdog in the AFCON. Even if Kenya was playing, we'll still have our hopes high. Because of this result, we know AFCON will serve us many surprises in the coming days. Well, that is all for us from this side. Many thanks for all those who made this production a success. My name is Auma Evans. Sheila Kinyaga is our sign language interpreter tonight. Until next time, do have a lovely night and God bless us all.